Imagine your home flooded, your crops burned, you face drought and water shortage, your harvest failed, and your air poisoned. For many communities in the global south, this isn't a future scenario. It is their present reality. We open this session with this stark truth to recognize that ecological injustice is not evenly distributed. It is racialized, regionalized, and deeply tied to history of colonization. This isn't simply an environmental issue. It is a matter of survival, dignity, and justice. Welcome to Ecological Justice for Social Change. Today's program will discuss a contemplative Islamic response. To begin with, I greet everyone with peace. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nana Firman, and I am a doctorate student at Chicago Theological Seminary. How can Islamic spirituality help heal our planet and ourselves? The question before us is not just what we can do to stop climate change, but who we must become to truly protect life. Can Islamic spirituality offer the grounding needed for long-term, compassionate, and justice-oriented ecological action? And what happens when spiritual consciousness becomes the foundation of climate advocacy? The roots of climate crisis lie in colonial exploitation. Resources extracted from the global south built the infrastructure of the global north. This history continues today through trade, debt, and environmental dumping that exploit the same lands and people. The wealth accumulated in the global north was extracted from the labor and landscape of the global south. As a matter of fact, climate change is not an equal opportunity threat. While the wealthiest pollute the most, the poorest suffer the gravest consequences. Pollution, displacement, and resource theft are symptoms of a global system rooted in injustice. These are not accidents, they are the outcomes of a system designed to serve profit over people and planet. So at its heart, this is a spiritual crisis, a forgetting of our place in creation. When we see nature as object and not as ayat, which means signs of God, we basically break the sacred balance. Healing the earth then requires more than policy. It requires remembrance. It requires resacralizing what has been treated as disposable. If the roots of the crisis are spiritual, then the solution must also be calling us to build communities where contemplation and collective action grow side by side. The transformation we seek must be collective. Across the world, Muslims are building spaces where worship meets ecology, where gardens become prayer and prayer become action. These communities are planting seeds of healing, resistance, and hope. There is no amount of technology that can solve a spiritual problem. We cannot engineer our way out of ecological collapse without addressing the moral and spiritual roots of the crisis. Sufism offers not just a critique, but a way forward, a way that begins with the heart, transforms the self, and moves outward to repair the world. As the famous Sufi master Jalaluddin Rumi once said, the entire universe is a great book written by the finger of God. In Islam, all creation is interconnected, woven together by Tawheed, which is the oneness of God. Nothing exists in isolation. Every being praises the divine in its own way. So to harm the earth is to disrupt the sacred chorus. When we remember this unity, we move from domination to compassion, from neglect to care. Undeniably, environmentalism is deeply ingrained in Islam, influencing personal behavior and relationships with others and the natural world. These principles originated from the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and are based on three core values, such as encouraging beneficial actions to society, or ma'ruf, and then preventing harmful actions, or munkar, and always maintaining a moderate approach, or wasatiyah. These values are also commended in the Quran. Certainly, Islam has also had a considerable influence on individuals in different regions and time periods, shaping both their spiritual and worldly experiences. So let's explore the principles of Khilafah, Mizan, and Amanah. The Islamic ethics provide a moral compass for ecological justice. Being Khilafah reminds us that we are stewards upon this earth, not owners, while Mizan teaches us that balance is the divine order, and Amanah is the trust we hold for future generations. These are not abstract principles. They call us to tangible, transformative actions. Building on these foundational ethical principles, Sufism offers a deeply embodied spiritual path that brings them to life through reverence, simplicity, and ecological harmony. Sufism embodies this sacred relationship by seeing the divine in all things. Sufis walk gently upon the earth. Their inner practices, such as dhikr, zuhud, tawakkul, are outer acts of ecological care. These practices reconnect us with the soul of the world and remind us that to love God is to love His creation. While Sufism roots us in spiritual awareness, it also calls us to translate that inner awakening into meaningful outward action for justice and the earth. Contemplation doesn't mean withdrawal. It is the wellspring from which wise and sustained action flows. Spiritual depth ground resistance in patience, clarity, and purpose. Without it, we risk burnout and despair. With it, we become the vessel of healing. Through zikr, the remembrance of God, we tune our hearts to divine presence. This awareness dissolves separation from creation. We no longer act as conquerors, but as companions to all living beings. Dhikr becomes a form of listening, of aligning our will with divine wisdom manifest in the earth. If dhikr attunes the heart to divine presence, then muraqabah deepens that connection through sustained awareness and attentive witnessing of the world around us. Muraqabah means mindful witnessing. It teaches us to slow down, to notice, and to listen. And when we truly listen to the earth, we hear its pain. From this place, real solidarity begins. Muraqabah transforms activism into a sacred act of presence and care. As muraqabah cultivates mindful presence, it naturally leads to zuhud, which is a lifestyle of simplicity and restraint that reflects inner clarity and ecological responsibility. Zuhud is not denial, instead, it's liberation. A life of intentional simplicity reduces harm and renews gratitude. In a culture of excess, zuhud is a radical act of resistance and care. It is a call to decolonize our desires, to live with what is enough, and to center what truly matters. Embracing zuhud nurtures detachment from the excess, and in that space of surrender, tawakkal emerges, trusting in God's wisdom as we act with humility and resolve. Tawakkal is trust in divine wisdom. For activists, this faith fortifies the heart. It reminds us our duty is to act with integrity, even when results are slow, even when we don't see immediate change. Tawakkal roots us to patience and resilience, turning anxiety into surrender. One simple but powerful practice for deepening the link between spirituality and ecological action is contemplation journaling. Taking time to write our reflections after prayer, zikr, or moments in nature really helps anchor perceptions, clarify intentions, and track our growth. It transforms fleeting thoughts into lived commitments. In the quiet act of putting pen to paper, we create a space where inner awareness meets outward purpose, helping us stay rooted in our values as we work to protect the earth. Every act of protection, every gesture of care can be a form of remembrance. When we act from this place, our activism becomes a spiritual offering. This is how we restore Mizan, by acting from the heart, guided by divine remembrance. Activism born from contemplation resists burnout. It centers the heart, honors dignity, and invites joy. It's not about ego, it's about service. In every march, every prayer, every river cleaned, every tree planted, every pipeline blocked, we embody a sacred ethics of justice and mercy. For me personally, this work of caring for the earth flows from my spiritual practice. It is part of my dhikr, my remembrance of God. I wrote about this in Act of Worship, where I shared how Islamic teachings guide my approach to environmental justice. I see it not only as a sacred responsibility, but also as a form of accountability, so that when the future generation asks what we did in the face of environmental destruction and climate collapse, I can answer with sincerity, I tried, with faith and with love, to serve. And now, let us walk gently, consume mindfully, and act courageously. Let us remember our role as stewards, not just of land, but of life itself. The earth is not ours to dominate, but to care for as a sacred trust. Inna dunya hulwatun khadiratun wa inna allaha mustakhlifukum fiha. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said, God has made the earth green and beautiful, and he has appointed you as stewards over it. This is not just a hadith, it's a covenant, a call to remember, to protect, and to act. Let us honor it with our words, our prayers, and our deeds. Finally, I thank everyone for sharing this moment with me. My hope is that these reflections serve as a reminder that caring for the earth is both a sacred trust and a shared journey. May we each walk gently, act justly, and keep our hearts connected to the one who created all things in balance. And may this be the beginning of deeper conversation, connection, and commitment to ecological justice. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum.